What if I told you that who you become is more important than what you finally achieve? You see, we pursue goals. We pursue goals with a passion. And when you really think about it, goal pursuit is more an ego dynamic. That when I think about it, I ask myself, what would God want? And I come to the conclusion that God is more concerned about your growth than your goal. Upon reflecting on the purpose of all life, I have come to the conclusion that life is about, as persons, that we evolve and become higher and higher versions of ourselves. That the whole purpose of this existence that we call life is about becoming more godlike, to becoming more self-realized, become more aware of what our true purpose of life is through the talents and natural abilities that we have. You know, a thought just occurred to me that Apple is much like God in the sense that Apple is always ready to make available for you the latest version operating system to download. But with God, there's a little bit of a twist. It's not an automatic download of the new version. God requires first that you overcome a challenge or a problem and learn from this. And then once you learn from the problem or challenge that you overcome, now you are able for the latest version of you to be downloaded by God. That's how I think it works. I first began to contemplate this difference of becoming versus achieving, ironically, through the production of this very same YouTube video that you're watching right now. I am dedicated to offering the best of what I have become, who I have become, through teaching the principles of consistency, goal achievement, and self-realization, which I have done a lot of that in my own personal life. Well, embarking upon the goal of creating a successful YouTube channel, I became swept away with the ego involvement of obtaining a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of subscribers, and really overlooking the true purpose of my doing this. The true purpose, I came to the conclusion, was to give the best of who I am and to detach from immediate outcome. That is, to enjoy the doing and the being much more than being attached to the outcome. And upon realizing that, everything shifted. And it is a shift that involves one knowing that consistency in doing something is who you are. It is not about what you achieve. Because from the road, if you look at the whole sequence of goal setting and goal achieving, that middle point between having begun the goal and having achieved the goal is your training ground for growth. Because any goal that you set upon achieving will, if it's worthwhile, will be met with setbacks, delays, and doubt as to whether you should continue. Because somewhere in the middle part of achieving any particular goal, there is what I call a period of silence, where you are doing everything you think that you're supposed to be doing, you're doing everything that you know you're supposed to be doing, but you don't see any observable immediate results. And this is the point where many of us begin to doubt ourselves. Let's say you want to start a new business and you have everything set in place. You've studied the business, you have the capital, you understand how it works, and you begin to put into practice the things that you know that you must do in order for the business to succeed. And everything starts off with lots of energy and enthusiasm in the beginning, but generally somewhere in the midpoint, that point before you actually achieve the ultimate goal of what you have set, there's a period where you don't see visible results, where everything seems to slow down, to stop, that things just don't happen on your schedule. Things just don't happen quick enough. And in this silence, many times we began to question whether that which we have chosen is worth continuing. This is a dangerous part because the whole idea of this silence is to build something in you that you will need once you arrive to your goal. What is it that you will need when you arrive to your goal? You will need patience, resilience, creative problem-solving ability, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to go to the next level. These are qualities that don't come in comfort. They don't come through inertia. They don't come by not having challenges and setbacks and difficulties to overcome. You cannot grow from a period of comfort and security. You can only grow from a period of doubt, a period of testing, a period of seeing if you have that which is necessary to hold the goal once you get there. Because once you achieve a goal, there's going to be a whole host of new problems and challenges and setbacks that you will have to handle, that you will need to have certain skills that you hopefully were able to learn along the path. That kind of reminds me of many times I see in the movies, well, this supposed to be image of ultimate success. You see the successful executive in the corporate boardroom, and he's the head of the corporation, and they have this long table of all the shareholders side by side, and the head of the corporation, the president, is in the far end, in the middle. And like these type of movies, they talk about Wall Street and the mega successful entrepreneurs. Well, I'm not saying that this is something that everybody wants or needs to achieve, but this is what Hollywood typically projects as the ultimate pinnacle of success, that multi-millionaire who's in his boardroom of shareholders. So I can only imagine that when the person started out, if he started out with little or nothing, he had to overcome many obstacles and setbacks and challenges along the way to getting to the top. And once at the top, he became a new person. He was a new person, very different than the person who started the particular path. But even in these particular scenes where you see the boardroom and the meetings, you often see problems in these board meetings. The shareholders are not happy about their returns, and they are complaining about the direction in which the company is going, and they are threatening to withdraw their support, and all of these other things that are a whole higher level of problems that the successful person would not be able to handle if they had not had the training grounds along the path. I feel this is true of all goal achievement of any very valuable, high quality goal. You have to be prepared, and you have to become a different person once you arrive to the goal than the person you were when you started. That is why these periods of doubt, of silence, of insecurity, of not seeing any progress are all training grounds. They are the spiritual weights that the Creator gives you to have the muscle and strength internally to be able to handle that point when you achieve your goal. So the main point that I'm trying to make with all of this is that the ego is concerned with the goal, but God is concerned with your growth. And if you can get on the same page with God, that growth is more important than the achieving of the goal, you can allow yourself to be in the present moment when you come across obstacles and problems and setbacks, and know that this is only a natural part of the process. I would say that when you get to the point where you enjoy the process more than the obsession over the goal, where you enjoy becoming, where you enjoy solving problems, where you enjoy accepting a new challenge, you become a new person with each new problem that you overcome. And this is what it's all about: growth over the goal, becoming over doing, and being able to detach from outcome. That is, that certain outcomes must happen in a certain way and on your schedule. Because every outcome, even if it is an outcome that you were not expected and were not hoping for and didn't even want, is necessary because it serves a purpose. Every outcome is a learning experience, a custom-made learning experience that you need to overcome and gain from to move on to your next level. So even unexpected outcomes, the ones that you don't plan for, the ones that you are disappointed with, change this thinking and understand that every outcome, even if it's unexpected, is divinely placed in your path as a stepping stone of growth to the next level. So, in summary, I want to reemphasize that God is more concerned about your growth than your goal. And that once you begin to detach from outcome, in the sense of having an outcome to be a certain way, and you get to the point of understanding that that outcome has a message, has a lesson to give you to go to the next level, you will embrace everything that happens to you in an enlightened way, in knowing that everything is moving you forward until you achieve the goal that you have set out. But keep in mind, it is more important who you become than what you finally achieve. Okay, this is yours truly, Charles Prosper, your consistency success coach, wishing you as always to stay consistent and be successful.